Hello everyone, welcome again. I am Arjun ST, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering at Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the components of an IC engine. Okay, in automotive systems, in the first unit, we are going to discuss about the topic components of an IC engine. So this is the topic we are dealing today. So we already know that the topic of first unit is engine auxiliary system. So under this topic we are discussing about IC engine components, functions and materials. So we have already discussed about the course outcome. So after successful completion of the first unit, the students can explain the engine's auxiliary system and the types of fuel injection and injection systems. So today, coming to components. So what are all the components present in the engine? So okay, what are the components which are present in the engine? So we are going to discuss in detail about all the components which are present in the engine. Okay, the first is the cylinder block. Okay, first is a cylinder block, which is the outer cover of the engine. Okay, the next is a cylinder head, that is the top cover. Then piston, then the piston rings. Piston, we know that the up and down movement inside the engine, the component is the piston. The piston rings, which means in the piston, in the side there are two or three grooves will be present. Okay, so those in those grooves they will fix a special ring which will seal the leakage of oil as well as the combustion process. So that is the piston rings. Okay, the next is the connecting rod. The connecting rod supports the piston and the with the crankshaft. So next is the crankshaft. So this crankshaft will be connected to the flywheel. Okay, the rotation of the crankshaft will given to the flywheel. So due to the rotation of flywheel, the power will be transmitted. Okay, the next is the valves. So valves means there are inlet valve and exhaust valve. So those valves. Then inlet manifold. So inlet manifold means the pathway of the air fuel mixture or air into the engine. So that is the inlet manifold. Exhaust manifold. So the exhaust manifold is nothing but after the combustion process. So the exhaust process happens. So the exhaust means driving out the burnt gases out of the cylinder. Okay, so coming out of the cylinder, there is a pathway which is connected to the silencer. Okay, the pathway will be connected to the pathway is called the exhaust manifold. The next is the carburetor. The carburetor is basically used in SA engine, that is the petrol engine, and spark plug, that is also used in the petrol engine. Carburetor is the component which will give the required or optimum amount of air fuel mixture. Okay, the spark plug which will be producing the spark for ignition. Right. So engine block. There is a cylinder block, engine block or cylinder block. So you can see here, this is the cylinder block. The cylinder block contains the required space for the cylinders. So this is the cylinder. Okay, these are the cylinders. There are 4 cylinders here. The piston and everything will be attached within this cylinder. The cylinder block means the outer cover of the engine with nut and bolt arrangements for fitting, as well as the cylinder block provides the space for occupying the space for piston and related components in the engine. Basically, this cylinder block is made up of a very uh, hard material. Okay, because it should withstand high pressure, it should withstand very high temperature, and it must be able to resist the wear and tear. Okay, resist the wear and tear. So that for light duty vehicles, ordinary cast iron will be used for the cylinder block. Okay, for light duty vehicle, for example our two wheelers, light duty vehicles. Okay, we will be using ordinary cast iron for making the cylinder block. But for heavy duty vehicles, okay, very heavy duty vehicles, we are using alloy steels. Okay, for example we are using different alloys, like mixing aluminum with steel. Okay, like that we are mixing the materials and we are forming an alloy steels. Okay, for withstanding very heavy duty. And the cylinders are provided with liners. Liners means for to withstand the wear and tear, we should we should produce some liners. So that liners are made up of nickel, chrome and iron. Okay, nickel, chrome and iron. So next component is cylinder head. Okay, in the cylinder head, that is the top cover, you can see above this the cylinder head will be placed. Okay, so the cylinder head has the provisions for cam. We have the provision for cam. The cam is an component which will be in a shape of an egg. Okay, so due to the rotation of the cam, the inlet exhaust valves will get open and closed. Okay, due to will get open and closed, and this will have a special sealing. Okay, special sealing to prevent the leakage of gases during the expansion stroke. Okay, and it also reduces shock means heavy amount of vibrations. So this is the cylinder head. The next is the piston. So this is the piston. Okay, this area is the piston. So this piston is the main integral part in an engine. Okay, its main function is to compress the charge. Compress the charge means compress the air fuel mixture in case of petrol engine, or compress the pure air in case of diesel engine. Okay, this piston will be connected to the connecting rod. Okay, this is the gudgeon pin. Okay, and you can see these are the grooves in which the piston rings are provided. Okay, after seeing piston, you can see piston rings. You see here there are 4 rings. Due to the duty of engine, the light duty or heavy duty, the grooves will vary. Okay, so here there are 3 grooves. Okay, the piston ring. In the piston ring, the circumference of the piston ring is not complete. Okay, there is a small amount of gap is provided in each ring. This is because due to the combustion process, when engine is running, very high amount of heat will be generated. Due to very high heat, these rings will tend to expand. Okay, ring will tend to expand. Without the production of this gap, if it tends to expand, it will damage the other particles. Okay, so this gap is provided. So when high amount of heat is produced, this will tend to expand, and due to the expansion of this ring, this gap will get closed. Okay, the ring gap will get closed. Okay, the major purpose of the piston ring is to, there are 2 major types of piston ring, that is oil scrapping ring and compression rings. Okay, so oil scrapping rings, the process is the name itself, it says it will stop, or it will prevent the oil from splashing into the top side of the piston. Okay, splashing from top side of the piston. And the compression rings are used to prevent the leakage of air fuel mixture or gas into from the top side of the cylinder to the bottom side of the cylinder. So this is the main purpose of the piston rings. The next is the connecting rod. The connecting rod connects the piston and the crankshaft. The connecting rod connects the piston and the crankshaft. You see here, this is the connecting rod. Okay, sorry, the top side, in this is the gudgeon pin area where the piston will be holded, and the bottom side of the connecting rod, the crankshaft will be connected. So the connecting rod's purpose is to convert the reciprocatory motion into rotary motion. The connecting rod converts the reciprocatory motion of the piston to the rotary motion of the crankshaft. Okay, this is the crankshaft. You see here, these are the crankshaft. Okay, so the crankshaft will be provided with some counterweight for balancing, and when the engine is operating, the power stroke will produce a high amount of power, and the crankshaft, the rotation of the crankshaft will be connected to the flywheel. So due to the, we cannot fix an entire flywheel into an engine cylinder. Okay, so the crankshaft is connected, present into inside the engine cylinder, all the rotation of the crankshaft. So all the rotation of the crankshaft is cumulatively connected to the flywheel. So due to the rotation of the crankshaft, the flywheel gets rotated, and the power begins to transmitted. The next is the cam and camshaft. So I have already said the cam is a small egg-like structure component. So these are the cams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 cams are there. So if it is in the presence of 8 cam, means this is a 4-cylinder engine. So a set of cam for one cylinder. Okay, so one will be operating the inlet valve and another one will be operating the exhaust valve. So cylinder number 1, cylinder number 2, number 3 and number 4. Okay, so totally 4 set of cam. The entire shaft is completely called as the camshaft. Okay, so this is the cam. So the cam will be rotating at the top side. It will be connected to the electronics nowadays. Due to the rotation of the camshaft, okay, when the in the base of the camshaft the valves will be placed. Okay, so when this peak area presses the valves gets opened and then closes. So okay, the next is the valves. These are the valves. The major process, you can see this, you see here, this is the cam. Okay, when the cam peak area comes, the spring gets contracted. Okay, the valves get pushed. Okay, like that. Then the valves, the major role of the valves is to allow the air fuel mixture to get in, as well as when the combustion process happens, these valves will be completely sealed. Okay, the valves will completely seal the engine from preventing the escaping of air fuel mixture, and at the perfect time during the exhaust stroke, the exhaust valve gets open, and the valve is also used to allow the burnt gases to escape to the exhaust. So this is the inlet manifold. So I have already said this is the inlet manifold. The inlet manifold means so the inlet and the exhaust manifold will almost be same. The only difference is that in inlet manifold the intake portion is a single opening, and it will be divided into four or six openings based on the cylinder. So that is the inlet manifold. In the exhaust, you see, these four openings will be converted to a single joint and it will be given to the exhaust. So this is the exhaust manifold. Okay, the inlet manifold, this is the pipelet structure which will connect the carburetor with the inlet valve. So if in case of petrol engine, from the carburetor the air fuel mixture will get into the inlet manifold, and from the inlet manifold to the required cylinder the air fuel mixture will pass through. Okay, so the exhaust manifold, for example, this is cylinder number 1, 2, 3 and 4. For example, in cylinder number 3 the exhaust stroke happens, means in this area the the burnt gas will escape through. Okay, likewise all the four openings, the burnt gases will escape and it will be given to the cylinder. So that is the exhaust manifold. The next is the carburetor. Okay, the carburetor is the basic component in petrol engines which will bring a efficient amount or required amount of air fuel mixture. Okay, in carburetor there is a air cleaner. From the air cleaner the air comes in. Okay, air comes in at this area. Okay, due to Bernoulli's effect, the fuel gets mixed with the air. Okay, the fuel gets mixed with the air, and due to the adjustment of throttle valve. Okay, due to the adjustment of throttle valve, the throttle valve gets opens and closes. Okay, the air fuel mixture will goes into the intake manifold. Okay, this is the operation of the carburetor. And the last is the spark plug. Okay, the spark plug, this spark gap is very efficient. You can see this, the copper rod is there for efficient transmitting of power. Okay, these are the metal shell, so these are threads for eliminating the heat. These threads are provided in the spark plug for getting rid of heat very easily. Okay, the terminal nut will be fixed into the connection will be given here in the battery. Okay, so these are the ground electrode. So okay, the copper rod will carry the power or electricity, and due to this gap present here, okay, this is an electrode and conducting material. Okay, so due to the gap present here, the current, the power carried by the copper core will get collapses here. So due to the collapsing nature of power in this gap, the spark will get generated. Okay, the spark will get generated. This is the sectional view. This is the three-dimensional view of a spark plug. Okay, so these are all the major components which are present in the engine. So that's it for today. In the next video lecture we can discuss about different topics. Thank you.